You are watching Backpages tonight. Welcome back to you, and it's welcome back to Mark Ogden, senior writer for ESPN, and Jack Rosser, football reporter for The Sun. Let's go to The Sun. The headline, Neil Custis, Sancho's Ten Hag. Jack, and Erik Ten Hag's opened the door for Jadon Sancho to return. Is it wide open door, or do you think a tiny crack with a little bit of light that you can just about see?
I think you might be right on the second one there. I think it's not the most warm welcome he'll get if he comes back from Borussia Dortmund in the summer to find Erik Ten Hag still there. I think ideally, if Ten Hag stays, he'd like them to find a new home for Sancho. And if Sancho is going to go back to Man United, he'd like to return to find a new manager. But I think what Ten Hag is basically saying, we've seen Sancho shining in the Champions League with Borussia Dortmund into the last four with them and with a shot at the final at Wembley, something that he felt a long way off at the start of the season with Manchester United, that's for sure. But I think the quality's there, and Ten Hag is basically saying that if he apologises, then he can come back in and we'll see that the quality of the player isn't the issue. He's been showing quite a hard line with players, Erik Ten Hag, the whole time he's been at Old Trafford, and it sort of worked with Cristiano Ronaldo and Marcus Rashford, and then Jadon Sancho was the one player that properly bit back and wouldn't fall into line. So it's had to be quite delicate, and it's brought back into the limelight as well with everything that's happened with Alejandro Garnacho as well.
Mark, what do you make of it? What about if Jadon Sancho wins the Champions League and scores the perfect hat-trick in the final? Do you think some sort of muttered sorry for about 20 yards away from Ten Hag could do it? What happens here? What do you think?
If he scores a hat-trick in the Champions League, fan doesn't have to say sorry to anybody, does he? I think he can do what he wants. But I don't think Sancho's going to apologise. I think that ship has sailed. I think Jack's right. The only way that he goes back if Ten Hag isn't there. I think if he does go back with Ten Hag there, it'll need a massive climb down by Erik Ten Hag, because you could say he's been kind of over strict on this one. I think he mishandled it at the start. If he'd have been a bit more flexible and understanding, this could have been resolved within the space of a couple of days, but it didn't happen. So we've got this situation now where Sancho is out of the club and, on big wages and a big fee, and he's not doing it for Man United, but he's doing it for Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League semi-final. So I don't think anybody comes out of this well. I don't think Ten Hag or Sancho come out of it well. But I don't think there's a future at United for Sancho if Ten Hag's there. But the reality is that Ten Hag probably won't be there. So there's a chance that Sancho will be back. But if he does well for Dortmund, he might think that he's better exploring moves elsewhere, because he's not had a happy time at United anyway for the last 3 years. It's not really worked for him. So perhaps the good thing for United is that he's kind of re-energising or, rebuilding his reputation, should I say, and that it might mean they can get a better fee from when they sell him in the summer.
Indeed, a long list of wide men possibly available for England in the summer as well. We won't open that debate just yet. Let's get to another apology, but one that's been made. Alejandro Garnacho apologises for Ten Hag likes. Manager says 19-year-old has a lot to learn, but will move on. Forward set to be in United squad for FA Cup semi-final. Mike McGrath writing in The Telegraph. Is it getting a bit ridiculous now, Jack, when we have to monitor likes and dislikes and things on social media?
It's a lot, isn't it? There's a lot to always cover, and you never know quite how seriously to take things like that. But I suppose, as we've mentioned, how Ten Hag has dealt with players across his time at Old Trafford, then if this sort of thing happens and it's picked up, then it's maybe something that he has to get involved in. But I think while everyone at United would have wanted him to resolve Sancho a lot earlier, given the money that they were paying him and the fee they paid for him, Garnacho is probably far more important to the future of Manchester United than Jadon Sancho is. So this was one that absolutely had to be resolved a lot quicker, and he's a player that's been a bright light in a very difficult season for Manchester United, so you don't want him having to sit out big games like an FA Cup semi-final. So it is a bit of a daft and ridiculous situation. It's something that, while he's a young player, many players don't even have control of their own social media accounts, and whether it was him or someone working for him, they probably shouldn't be scrolling through liking posts from prominent fans. So it's a bit daft on both sides, I think.
Indeed, definitely make people think twice about using that like button. Let's get to Manchester United, of course, playing Coventry, the Championship side in the FA Cup semi-final on Sunday. We'll continue with United win Wilcox fight, a piece by Jeremy Cross in The Express. Manchester United have appointed Jason Wilcox as technical director after agreeing compensation with Southampton. A great old-school winger, wasn't he, in his playing days, Mark? What are his attributes as an administrator, do you think?
Well, he had a great record at Man City with the academy, and that earned him his move to Southampton. And, he's been there less than 12 months, and he's offered to Man United. And, Jason Wilcox will be expected to find players that are a good value that can either develop at United or move on for a fee in later years. But he's not going to be heading the recruitment. That'll be Dan Ashworth when he arrives from Newcastle. But Look, there's a lot of changes going on at United right now. Jason Wilcox comes in. We know that Omar Barada's the CEO. Dan Ashworth will come soon. John Merton's left the club. Richard Arnold's left, the old CEO. So it's a case of rebuilding the structure and hoping that this structure that they put in place is one that brings a success that Liverpool have had, Man City have had, other clubs have had, in the sense that they've had to modernise the structure. So Jason Wilcox is part of that. He grew up in the area. He knows United. I think he was a United fan as a kid. So I think it will be kind of a homecoming for him. But that counts for nothing once you start the job and you have to get it done. And they have to start finding players that are worth the money that they signed them for, and rather than the players that they've signed in the recent years.